I put it in red letters for me every time and I forget. All right, so now we'll share. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we're gonna start over.
What we decided to do for our COVID project was to finally organize and digitalize all those papers and photos and films that we all have sitting around in boxes and suitcases around our house from us and from our parents. So the first thing we did was to try and find a little dark corner in our house to set up a little film studio. So this was a bathroom that had no window in it.
So we need to convert all of our 8mm and Super 8 film and all of our VHS tapes and mini tapes using my cell phone and digitize them into MP4 files, ultimately onto my computer. I turn on my projector and off we go. It was actually a lot of fun reliving all those years. I was able to watch my wife learning how to walk, and I got to go to her Sweet 16.
And I got to see the father-in-law I never met.
Now, we had a whole bunch of VHS tapes, and with a VCR, I plug it in with a digitizing cable that I bought online for about 20 bucks, plug it into my laptop, and there we are recording it as an MP4. And if you have any mini tapes, you can plug them into your digital video camera, and I plug this with a USB cable right into my laptop and record it in the same way as an MP4.
For all the photos and papers, what I did was sort them into paper bags or boxes by decades, and then I separated each paper bag into categories, whether it's a person, a family, an event, or holiday. I then made them chronological so we could take the photos easily. The next step was to simply take your phone and take a picture of the photo. And if you have a family historian, you could take all those file folders, put them in a box, and give it to him or her.
And make sure you have a backup.
It was incredibly enjoyable binge watching our family lives. I got to read a letter my mother wrote to President Roosevelt with a response and a picture of her with Hillary Clinton.
I got to see her father with Dustin Hoffman and Whoopi Goldberg and Big Bird. And we even got to see my old dog Taffy. Yeah, before we go any further, I have some slides on my machine just to do some explanation that I'd like to just run through. So I need. Okay.
Can you see us in crazy suits?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are costumes that we use when we're doing shows for Drive I-95.
Fun.
To start off, basically you need a projector. The projector itself, in the olden days, everybody had a projector for 8mm or Super 8 film. These days, they're sort of hard to find a working one.
So when we were walking around for COVID around the streets of our neighborhood, we just kept asking all our neighbors and friends, do you have one? Do you have one? And you would be surprised how many people had one in a basement. So we kept trying.
But you would be surprised how few of those worked.
We did. After the 6th one, we found one that worked, and we were lucky because this one did both Super 8 and 8mm.
Yeah. See, down here, there's a little, here it is, Super 8 to 8mm. Yeah. We were very lucky it was able to do both. Because
I want you to know that we actually, my father's did work, but it didn't have a bulb. So we went online to look for a bulb, and it cost $93 in Texas if we wanted to buy one. And we weren't even sure if it would work.
Because it was like a 50-year-old unit.
Right.
Here, this is the sort of whiteboard that we set up in our bathroom.
So it could be anything white. It could be a board, it could be a sheet, it could be a white wall.
We didn't have a white wall. We have all this wallpaper there. And then I set up a little stand with the iPhone just to tape what
what came off.
So it's going from the projector to the white screen, and the little phone is now videoing
Right.
the screen.
Right. Now, the second step was the VCR. Here we have.
Wait, you missed one thing. The nice part about doing this is at that point, while you're watching the old movies, you can even add commentary at this point because your phone will pick up the commentary. So you could say, we're at so-and-so Suite 16, or this is the new house we moved in.
But most of those 8mm didn't have any sound. So you're just looking at video, but you can explain as you're watching.
Okay, so that was the movie part. Now this is the VCR.
At the back of the VCR, you see there's some different connections. And so I just took the output of the VCR through this little thing that I bought.
Okay, what is that?
Well, I'll show you in a minute what this is. It's a little digitizer, and it's connected. You see from the VCR output, it connects into the USB of my laptop. And this is the whole thing. It's a UCEC, and here it is on Amazon. And there's two versions of it. I took the $29 version because it had everything, all the pieces I needed, including the software to run it. Then, if you have other kinds of things, like I had a bunch of these mini discs, they're called mini DVs, and they were taken with a regular, an old digital camera. But the digital camera generally had an output for USB into your computer, and you could just record it the same way. And here I have a lot of these mini discs that I would use a Sony unit like this. And again, you can output it into the
so you're using the same cameras you used when you originally recorded it.
Yeah.
With the VCRs, they're either 2 hours or 6 hours. So basically you're going to put them on and you're either going to have fun watching them for 2 hours or 6 hours, or you just go walk away, time it, and come back 6 hours later.
Now, what you have to do then, see, you end up with this kind of a thing. Hundreds, I ended up with like 300 files like this, all numbered, and you then have to figure out what's on them. And what I did was I took each one, as we watched it, I took each one and just gave it a number, and there's the like 182.917, what turned out to be Warren's birthday party, and I called it A6. And I just organized them in different ways. And you run it through a video editor. Now, I used AVS Video Editor. There's a few different ones around. I have always used this AVS family of, there's audio, video, image converters and editors. They work very well, and they're relatively inexpensive.
Are they easy to use?
Very easy to use.
Excuse me, Stan, is that just software or is that a physical thing?
It's just software.
Okay.
You just read the file itself. This one here is number 091143.
Yeah, what you're doing with this is you're looking at it, and when you look at those 6 hour tapes, there may be 2 hours of it where you accidentally tape the news, and you don't really want that stuff. So you could cut out all the extra pieces that are pretty well
and
garbage.
you may have 2 hours of a birthday party followed by an hour of a trip, et cetera, et cetera. So you can actually cut them up and save them under a new name so that you know. And so this AVS Video Editor is wonderful. Then here's Sandra's.
The paper part that we all dread.
Some of her table. And there's her taking pictures.
So what I did was I took all those suitcases and boxes and bags that everybody has. I made a couple of big shopping bags and boxes. I separated it by pretty well 2 decades at a time. I was doing my parents, so I had 100 years to separate. I separated it into decades. And then from the decades, I made these beige folders. So one would say mom, one would say dad, one would say family, one would say friends, one, each name on it. And I'd separate it. And really going from that box to separating it into these things would take maybe an hour or two. It wasn't like it took all day. But I wanted to take those files and then put them in order. So then when we put them up, I didn't have to reorder them on the screen. So I just ordered them in paper form. So I just put mom from the time she was 20 to the time she was 90 in different envelopes. So I could just do them in order. So they would go up in order and just make life easier for us when we put it in our photo album online.
Now, just to give you an idea, we had roughly 12,000 photos to digitize.
But I would use the same folders. So I would do the first bag, I would sort them out into the folders and then take all the pictures. And the papers, I did the same thing as well. I put all the, you know, if it could be, you know, married papers, it could be letters, it could be school papers, and I just put them in order by year.
And we actually took pictures of all these documents just to record them.
Yeah, and put those just in a file folder and kept the same folders. So I could just use them for each decade over and over again. And again, now you have them all digitalized, which you can sort into an album online. So you could make albums of, you know, your kids growing up, you know, you getting married.
Here I have trips. There's our trip to India. There, you know, I have different trips. I have different family groups, et cetera, et cetera. And I just stick them online where anyone can access them.
But there are different albums online that you can buy to do this, and not buy, you could use to do this. So it's not difficult, you know, to sort them into categories. The same way you would sort them on your phone into categories.
Yeah, and here, and you'll be able to see it, I guess, once Kathleen gets it up on the site, but I just gave you a list of some of these. Most of them are free places you could store videos and photos.
Also, when I put them in boxes, I was also organizing them for a different reason, because I discovered that there are different organizations, libraries, state places, city places that actually want all this old stuff, because historians like to go through them to learn history, to if people are writing novels and they want to go back to World War II and see, well, what did people wear then? What would a letter be back and forth to a husband and a wife? And they could go through your information, and it kind of helps the future document the past. So for instance, my parents lived in New York State. So I found the New York State Library takes five boxes from each person. If they belong to a union, a society, a club, one of them, we sent 3 boxes to Washington, D.C. of all the pictures she had taken of one of the volunteer organizations she was in, and a nonprofit. It could be anything. So before you dump them, if there's information relating to those unions or clubs or whatever, they want them as well for historical value. So it's not all junk.
Right. Now, so I just want to quickly show you what I then did, and you have a major sorting job because you have all this stuff. So I have sort of by year and by whose birthday and what events. I have folders with all of my videos and photos, okay, each in a folder. And then you can go farther and farther. I have, like, on the right side, you can see I have family, friends. I have different trips. I have different things that I wanted to save. So that way I can always go back and find.
I'll give you an example. It just happened today. We got an email from our son that our granddaughters needed for a hunt. What's it called? What kind of a hunt?
Like a scavenger hunt.
A scavenger hunt. They needed a photo of somebody who had been, a couple who'd been married 40 years, and they were kissing in the photo. He flipped right back to our photos in Paris.
I think I showed you some of our kissing pictures.
I don't know if you knew about that. We've talked about this. But we happen to kiss in front of every famous place we've ever been around the world. We have an entire wall of it. So he just went back to that list, looked for Paris, took the picture of us kissing in front of the Eiffel Tower, and within a minute, he had sent it to them.
Wow.
Anyway,
wow.
That's our story.
Yeah.
Well, so do you think this is, so who's going to get this? Like, who are you all going to pass this on to continue the care of and management of?
So the online thing stays online forever.
No, but I also have all these thousands. I have, like, believe it or not, roughly 300,000 photos from over the last 25 years. They're all sitting on big external hard drives, organized, the way I showed you, so that.
But he has an online site.
And I have backups of those. And I put them up online so that family and friends, whatever, can actually go up and see, when there's a family party, they can always, they can go up and see the pictures of their family party, et cetera, et cetera.
So he actually has a site where we tell people all the time to go there and look at da-da, go there and look at da-da.
Now, so that those external hard drives are what I guess I will pass on to somebody. Hopefully someone will want it.
But they are in the cloud on a site.
Okay. Well, yes. So do you have a grandchild that you think is interested in family history?
So far, not.
Well,
but they're young.
I mean, they're young. They range from 6 to 15.
Yeah, so not yet.
Yeah. Well, the one that needed the scavenger hunt already has an appreciation, especially if they win. Oh, wow. That's amazing, really, what you've done. So you're going to tell us how long it took?
Wait.
Stay
4 months so far, I think.
No, he's saying 4 months, but we're doing it just randomly.
Slowly.
We'll take, a half a day here and a half a day here and a half a day here. So it's just going slowly when we feel like doing it.
I heard the beginning of a question from someone.
Yeah.
Gilbert. Stan, it's Gilbert.
Hi there.
Have you used the app on the iPhone that's called PhotoMine? PhotoMine.
Actually, I have.
You can take a bunch of pictures and get them organized.
It worked well for Sandra's father's albums, because you can take a page of an album that has 8 pictures on it, and it does a very good job of grabbing them and separating them out. The only thing that you have to be careful of, most of these old albums have plastic covers on every page, and it really wrecks how they come out. So you have to take them off.
Yeah, I didn't mention when we took the photos of the pictures, we had to find a spot under a light or a lamp that had no shadows. So we had to kind of walk around the room. No glare.
Glare and shadow.
So we had to walk around the room and move a table around the room to find the perfect spot to take the picture.
So I sat in that spot on that table for
like 2 hours at a time.
Yeah,
and took pictures.
For a solid 2 months.
No, not 2 months, but a couple hours at a time. Yeah.
Patient.
Well, so did you try scanning any of the pictures versus taking just snapshots of the pictures?
The answer is yes. And
wait, the answer was what?
The answer is yes, I tried it. It's much more efficient to just use my iPhone and just snap them.
Faster.
Much faster, and actually did a better job.
Okay.
Click.
I had a question also.
One thing that we did not mention, we also had a bunch of carousels of slides. Now, my old scanner had a way of scanning the slides, but a friend of mine has a little unit where you stick the slides in and it goes, chunk, 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 chunk. It pulls them in, it optimizes the picture, and then goes on to the next. So he did all those for me. It was easy.
Okay. Yeah, scanning pictures is very time consuming.
Oh yeah.
That's why we did it with the phone.
With the phone, as long as you haven't got any glare or shadow, you just go click, and next one, click.
We actually did 3 months of it in my parents' attic. We were in the attic with he had hundreds of records and all kinds of things. And
her mother had about 500 playbills from
I
Broadway.
left out, kind of, I guess I'll go back here now. My father worked on Broadway, so there was a lot of paraphernalia from show business. So, and it was up there. So we had to take pictures of it and send it to museums and collections and see who wanted what. So we really literally sat in the attic and did it. We didn't move it anywhere.
Wow.
Florence had a question there.
I did. I was doing something very similar today with family photographs because my cousin had asked for photographs of our grandparents. They're creating anyway. And my question to you is, I saw you had some white paper under the photograph. I was taking photographs with my iPhone to stop the glare or to get the best photograph with your iPhone. How did you place it down, and I know you have to look for a shadow. What is the best way, recommended way to take a picture with your iPhone of the photograph?
Well, the best way, like you said, you have to find a place where you have, where either
we
you put down a white.
We used a white table.
A white table, or it could be black, white or black, and in a place where you haven't got, the glare of a lamp,
or you're a shadow on the screen. So we literally moved the table around an inch, a foot, until we found
a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, until we found the right spot in our basement to do it.
And then you don't move.
Yeah, we just left it there for 3 months.
Did you edit anything? I found, because with the iPhone you can edit, and some old photographs, you can enlarge, you can edit. Did you find yourself stopping to do that? Because I found
we didn't dare.
No,
we just wanted to get it done.
I did some of that later, after part of what you end up doing then is you have 5,000 photos to empty off of your iPhone onto your computer. And at that point is when I was sorting them and editing them. I also have a really nice program that can optimize the photos.
But we really didn't. We were just kind of capturing them for posterity. And we really make this into a lifetime project. We just wanted, if they were dark, if they were light, I really didn't care. I just wanted to remember seeing, that little kid in those shoes,
That's what I was doing. I was passing them on, and I ended up sending them to the head of each family, and told them, then you pass them to those
exactly.
in your family.
We did the same thing, and that was also part of the fun. I'll tell you a little story, but we got them in groups and we sent them off to cousins. We said, look, this is more of your family than my family. We captured them for us, but then we sent it to them. One of my cousins, who I just, I didn't know really well, and so I sent her a picture of our grandmother that we shared. And she told me that the picture was taken, it was a picture of my grandmother holding my father as a baby. She said my grandmother was 14 years old at the time of the picture, or when she got pregnant, and that she was a gypsy in Hungary, which I never knew, okay? So I thought that was pretty wild. I mean, she told me more stuff, but I'm not gonna say it on the Zoom. Anyway, that grandmother to marry or live with a few times. So I thought that was pretty amazing. And my sister in California is very, like she does hands-on healing and she reads tea leaves, she's very California, LA type and very spiritual. So I said, now I know where you got your DNA from. It's from that grandmother, because she was a gypsy. And she turned around to me, I don't know how many of you know us, but we've been travel writing for probably 30 years and have been to 60 countries. She said, no, you're the gypsy. You can't sit still. You go from town to town.
But I'll tell you, one of the things that happened is I have this whole album of pictures called Who the Hell Is This?
But everyone's going to have one of those.
We send them around to different relatives to say, do you know who this is? And
yeah, and we'll take them with us too when we travel, because we're going to see them. We bring a bag of pictures, and then we have great memories and talks with all these people. people who you haven't called for years, you suddenly have a reason to call them and have a chat, and you'd be surprised at stuff you learn.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If I take my iPhone and I snap the pictures and they go up to the iCloud,
Yeah.
okay, and I put them into albums, how do I, number one, I have two questions. Number one, how do I transfer them to one of my daughters or sons or whatever? And number two, there's limits, so you have to pay more money because it's gotten too filled up. And I have like I don't know, at least 100 of those thick album loose leaf, full of photos. And I was very good on labeling everything and so on. So if you can address those two issues.
Well, first of all, the suggestion was to put it on your computer, not necessarily a cloud.
I personally don't. I mean, I use iCloud just as like a backup. I don't really trust.
The cloud.
It doesn't sort them for me. It doesn't. There isn't an easy way.
He's transferring from his phone to his computer, and that's where he said you buy one of those album programs from Flickr or and you buy one of those album and you put them in albums on your computer. And then how does she send them?
No, well, what I just send them like through Dropbox or something, but what I actually do is I put them up on my site that you saw, where you saw all the albums, and I just send someone a link
to his site
to the album that I want them to see.
So he sends them a link to our album on our machine,
and they're allowed to download whatever they like from that link.
Okay, but pictures now take up a lot of space on your computer. Number one. And number two, how do I get them from my Apple iPhone to my PC?
Okay. That's one of those mysteries that most people don't know. It's very, very easy. Number one, when you just attach your iPhone in with the USB key into your
PC,
with the connection into your
not
PC,
your Apple,
and you look at the File Explorer, Windows Explorer, it pops up looking like a drive, and you can see all your albums on your phone, and you can copy anything you want off, and you can delete to clean up your phone.
But I've had issues, they don't go. I can see them, I can select them, but I can't seem to get them from there to the PC.
Just do a copy and paste. As long as you can see them, you just copy and then paste.
It hasn't worked. Come to my house, Stan.
Okay, I've been doing it since my first iPhone.
I just say I'm really, really lucky to have. I know exactly what you're saying. I have no clue what he's saying.
I follow him, but it just hasn't been working that way, that easy.
Yeah.
Now one thing that I was going to share with you people is you have a lot of photographs, and you probably have twice as many as I do, and we store them on external hard drives, and then we do that once a month, and we change them out with our bank safe deposit box, so they're never at the house. Nobody can steal them. No fire can destroy them. And then we go pick them up, switch them out again, redate them, and make a backup of all of them, because you sure wouldn't want to lose all those pictures.
Exactly.
We do a backup and leave it at our kids' house. And every time we see the kids, we just switch them.
Wow.
But those, I mean, Dorothy, for you, true, it takes a lot of space, but these days you can buy yourself a 2 terabyte external drive for $40. You know, tens of thousands of pictures.
You wouldn't need one for the rest of your life.
And you should be able to just drag the pictures into it.
You just highlight all the pictures and drag them in.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, Dorothy? Why don't we get together someday this week? You can let me know when you want to have a Zoom call, and you can share your screen and I can walk you through it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So, and then if I can't make it work, then at least somebody else tried too. So, but we could do that.
Thank you.
Sure. Sure. So did anybody else have a solution? Well, first, is there more to cover for Stan and Sandra? That was wonderful. Intimidating and a bit overwhelming, but beautiful.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Stan. Can you do videos? Can you copy videos from an Apple to a PC?
Absolutely, same way.
Plug it over.
When you plug it in, you know, it actually pops up as a drive, and then when you go into the details, it's every one has I think it's up to, I think is it 100 pictures or 200 pictures, whatever, in each little subdirectory. So
100.
DM 175, DM 176, 170, and each one will have 100 or 200 pictures. Okay. And it's a combo of pictures and videos, whatever you've taken.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. I have to give you credit for putting all that time in to do it. I've got boxes of stuff. One thing that I'm trying to figure out is the value maybe of the Ancestry.com, you know, that program?
Yeah.
Because they do have a place for putting pictures in too. So you can put pictures of your relatives along with your genealogy. But I'm not sure if that's a safe place to put your...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not safe,
comfortable.
and I don't think you can put, you know, 12,000 pictures up there.
You have to pay for that on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Here you have it on your own equipment, so you can access it. If you go into Ancestry, there's an ongoing charge to use. It's safe because people's trees, or genealogical trees, are there, but you're paying for it continuously.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, are you talking $15 a month, or do you know?
I did. I don't remember now because the rates changed. They get you in as a free person, and then your tree gets so expanded, it's very hard to, it's just easier to do it like a Dropbox or a folder or something like that on your computer. You have more control over.
Actually, I think I was doing Family Search, which is the Mormon site, and I think it's free now. They're doing
it. It's really good.
If there's a Mormon church nearby, some of those have a setup that you can go in and use their facilities, and they are hooked into Ancestry.com, and that's how you use Ancestry.com for free.
Yeah. Also in Boston, the libraries let you do it free if you go to the library. But a lot of stuff to do.
Right.
Now, what do you do? What did you do with the originals?
Okay,
you put them back in a box.
They're going. Yeah, it all came down to
it's an organized box.
Five legal size boxes. My parents' entire life, and they're going to the New York State Library. A program where I mentioned earlier, there are places that do accept it, but you just have to kind of research your city, your area, whatever. There are people that will take it.
That's nice. If you have somebody storing all your stuff.
Well, I think they may also just scan it, and I don't know, how long they keep it.
Yeah, but that'll be the backup.
Just to answer another piece of the question for those who haven't seen, a lot of our originals are right there on the wall. all of our walls are full of these.
We decided at some point the decor of our dining room would be all kinds of photos of our life, and then when people come over, they talk about it, they chat about it. It gives us an opportunity to discuss the stuff that would just be in an album in a basement somewhere.
I think we only have about 1,000 of them up here.
And people really enjoy it. They really have a good time. And if they don't know each other, kind of breaks down barriers where they could chat about something?
Stan, I took the first 20 years of our 8mm and Super 8mm and took a whole bag, put them in order, took them to Costco, and for about $90, they put them on a DVD for me.
Fabulous. That is great.
Much quicker.
Wow. That is a great suggestion. I really, really like
and
that.
then we sent each child a DVD. We made copies.
I made copies of the DVDs and sent it to each of the children.
They'll have the pictures in boxes.
That is perfect. Absolutely
well, hopefully
perfect.
your children appreciate it. Our children sort of say, we don't care.
I don't.
Ours are older, so they
get a little older.
Yeah, when they get to be about 50, 60, that's when they'll start asking the question.
They're getting very close to that.
Yeah.
ours are only in their
40s.
Stephen is down at his condo next to ours this weekend. But one week we decided to take all the photos that we had and separate them and give them to the boys. But we had to talk about each picture. So after about 10 hours, we had gone through maybe 5% of the pictures, and we decided we couldn't do that.
So we've done, like Sandra said, we've visited relatives and handed them packets of pictures of their family.
That's an interesting idea. Maybe at a holiday, at Thanksgiving or Christmas, there would be a photo hour where you take 100 of the pictures and talk about those pictures in that hour. And then they would learn family history that way.
It's a great idea.
My sister gave me a picture of my father when he was 7 years old in a cowboy outfit with a rifle. And that was in, I don't know, I guess about 1911 or 12.
Fabulous.
Wow.
And he looks like a nephew of ours when he was that age.
Yeah.
With the
we
holsters.
In one of the conversations with a cousin, I don't know how my son's picture was there and their son's picture, and it turns out they could be twins. Two kids that live across the country. They look exactly alike.
You can see the resemblance of families.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So did anybody else have a creative solution that they came up with to sort of cut across the whole picture issue? Because if not, Florence,
Well, I'm gonna
Hey, Florence.
I'm gonna go ahead with what Gilbert was saying. And Shadi, I always have either the tail or the beginning with them. And so I did that with albums. I chronologic. I had my grandchildren look for their parents in bags of pictures. And so we separated them by which grandchild could find the photographs regarding their, parents. And then we set them up chronologically. Now they have to go into an album. But I felt that having a real photo album is also wonderful to have. But I think I'd like to document it with some stories and mementos. But anyway, I had my grandchildren involved in it, and that's where I'm going with this. I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot to say that part too. What I did as I was going through was I made a bag for each grandchild, and exactly what you're saying. I took a few pictures from each age of their parents in our life, and I'll make one physical album for each of them and hand it to them when they're 16 or 21 or something like that.
Well, that's nice.
Along with my favorite recipes.
That's a great idea.
See, I want to do just the opposite. I want to take the ones that are in the albums and dissect them so that I can organize them in a different way.
Right, yeah. Right.
Well, now, Stan mentioned a software program, I think it was Stan, that would take like your album page with 6 pictures on it or 8, and it would separate them. So it wasn't just making a copy of a picture with 8 pictures in it. Was that you, Stan?
Actually, it was Florence who mentioned it,
or Gilbert.
but I've used it.
Okay, what was that called?
Gilbert, was that you?
No, no, it was Florence. Florence, what was that called again?
Photo mine?
Yes,
That's it.
Gilbert. It was Gilbert.
Photo mine.
Gilbert, yeah.
That's it.
Photo mine.
M-Y-N-E at the end. Photo mine.
Okay.
Have to plug you in. We're getting low on that.
Okay.
Mine.
Well, I had a very nice mother-in-law who put all the pictures I ever sent her of our children into albums for each one of them, and of any family vacations that she was on with us or family reunions and stuff. And so I don't want to take them off the pages because that's way too much work. So that photo mine is a great idea. I have one thing to share. I came up with something that I thought was very creative. And so I too have boxes of pictures, and they are hidden from my site, so it's easy to ignore them. But every year, Jack writes a Christmas card, a Christmas poem, and they're very funny. I like write up the highlights. I just make a list of like highlights of the year, and then he puts them into poem form, or he sets them to music, like maybe Home Home on the Range or something. And so actually, I think this was a Christmas present last year I made, and eventually I'll get a nice album. But I just got a notebook, and the Christmas letter,
that's wonderful.
And it's got a little sleeve. So I figure every year I'll just put the letter from, the prior year or the current year. And then inside, can you see I have like the Christmas letters. And then the picture that was with it, I put on the spacing page. And let's see.
That's beautiful.
And I mean, and like this one, the letter went on 2 pages. So, they face each other. But it's been fun to try to find all those Christmas letters because I hadn't saved them all together, but I found them on, on the computer because I would type them up and do the publishing part of it. Anyway, they have enough pictures, like some of them would have, more pictures. And I find that I feel like I could kind of get rid of boxes. I have a memento of that year, of what we did, and kind of what the kids look like. So I've been real excited about it. And Jack loved it, and the kids, so our kids are about 30, and they don't want boxes of photos. I'm not even sure they want discs of photos.
Right.
They want this album. It's like one album can hold everything. They're good. So anyway, that's great.
One of our sons every year for Mother's Day goes through all his digital pictures of the family that year and makes her up a professional book. I'm not sure if it's Vistaprint or Flickr. I don't remember who he uses. And it's a very slim book. And there's 3 or 4 different pictures, and there's little words he writes under each thing. And it's a professional book that he makes for her for Mother's Day. And that's another kind of way to do it and throw everything away, and you have a beautiful book.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm going to add another thing. I found as a wedding gift, I gave my nephew all the pictures I had of him from when he was a little baby up, so that his wife and he would have an album. So when they have children, they would be able to look back and see what the resemblances were. And I had never done that before for someone getting married, but they really loved it. And she especially loved it because she didn't know him younger. She only knew him when he turned 28. So that was a very nice thing. The other thing I find doing that, if I have pictures for overseas relatives, I go on WhatsApp and I send them to them through our WhatsApp groups. And I get so many responses because people didn't know what certain relatives look like. And even if they knew them when they were young kids, they forgot when they became grown-ups themselves. So I found WhatsApp is a great way to share photographs. And so I just post them on WhatsApp. Because usually you have about 15, 20 people on WhatsApp, you know, so.
Yeah. On our photo wall, we went in and put in two 32-inch monitors. One's vertical, one's horizontal, and then we put USB jump drives into the USB port and put it on a slideshow. And so, like, Lanny had a Kentucky Derby day at the house, and so we had made a trip through Kentucky, and so we were showing horses out in the range and going through bourbon places and going through the museum, and that's what was rotating on the screen. And it's just a way to show some of your pictures off and just take up 32 inches of the wall in two different places. And lots of people just sit there and look at them the whole time. It's not the purpose of capturing them to stare at, but a lot of people wait till they rotate all the way through before they go on and have some more discussion.
That's a great idea. And you can pick the subject matter. You just have a bunch of different little sticks. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
Kathleen, hi there. I wanted to share very quickly with you. We get the International Travel News magazine, and we have quite a few of them. So I looked back, and in the August 2016 issue, one of the main articles was old trip photos. What do you do with them?
Whoops, you hit your...
Yeah.
Okay.
I flipped to the article, and now it says 2016, but some people said that they used Scan Cafe, and they shipped their things off, and everything was put into a CD. They say it was not cheap, but sometimes have deals. When I got my scan back, I put the photos onto my computer. Now they're screensavers, the images drift by, and I feel like I'm forever traveling. Every so often I change the trip so I can enjoy another part of the world. I'm so glad I did. It was worth the investment. And several people mentioned Scan Cafe, www.scancafe.com. But a couple of people said, well, get rid of the old photos, take a deep breath, pick up the first box, and toss it. Repeat as needed until they're all gone. The contemplation is worse than the act. And then they went into, when we get our age, we have to think about downsizing, and there's a lot of senior homes that have smaller units and rooms, and you're not going to have room for all those 100 albums or all these other things too. And they said, also went on to say, their kids and their grandkids had no interest in a lot of those photos that we took. And so I found it to be quite interesting. Anyhow, there was about 4 pages in this old magazine that I kept, and I thought it was quite interesting how different people dealt with their old photos.
Right.
I just wanted to add one thing. I used to, years ago, have all my photos going by on my screen, just as you know,
a screensaver.
It's a screensaver.
Wallpaper, yeah.
And it's easy to do, but haven't done it for years. With 30,000 is a lot.
I actually do that, and I do enjoy seeing pictures every day when I sit down at my computer. I'm fascinated by some of those pictures before I actually get started doing anything. And I'll sometimes call to my wife, Ann, who, by the way, we just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And for you animal lovers, we haven't had a pet in 20 years, and we decided on our anniversary, we gave each other a small dog called a Maltipoo, and it is training us very well in the few days that we've had it, and we've really enjoyed that. But that's beside the point.
Weren't you going to get some birds?
Well, actually, we did. We actually, 2 weeks ago today, we got 2 birds, a male and a female, very young. My wife named hers Twitter. I named mine Fetch because I always wanted a dog. So I figured, well, it's going to be my bird dog. So we got 2 birds. Then I had a message from a friend of mine, and she has lots of animals, including lots of birds. She said, I think I'm getting rid of about 3 to 5 birds. Are you interested? So I went over, I looked at them. My wife said, which 3 do you want? And I said, I want 5. So we got 5 more.
Oh my God.
So that was 7. Now, 2 days later, this woman said, I'm moving and I can't keep my dog where I'm going. So could you help me out? Even if you could foster it for a while before you can find someone, because I have to move this weekend. So we took this Maltipoo thinking, well, we got to help her out. We got to take it at least for a while. Well, it didn't take us more than about 24 hours. And we went, oh my, it looks like we have a dog. So we have spent so much money on this dog already. It's not funny. But I think I mentioned that my brother's a veterinarian. And I need to say, he was probably one of the best veterinarians you could ever find. Because I said, Paul, could you give me some advice? I need to find a good veterinarian. And he changed from my brother to a veterinarian. And he sent me an email of everything that I should possibly ask, every question. I'm going to be grilling veterinarians, that's for sure. Every question you could possibly ask. He said, go and visit the office and really inspect the office for cleanliness. Talk to as many clients as you can of each of the veterinarians you're considering. Definitely don't go to a clinic. I hate clinics. He said, my brother has stayed at his veterinary office so long, not just treating animals, but making calls back to patients and so on, that he said, there's been days where I just laid on one of my exam tables and slept, got up the next morning and start seeing patients the next day. But he is a phenomenal veterinarian, absolutely phenomenal.
You know what? You need to start finding the pet sitter part of the Evergreen Club.
That's probably true.
Oh, yeah.
My wife says we have a zoo now. The dog is adopted my wife. It was a woman's dog beforehand, and I think she likes women. And my wife says, I never expected to get a dog, but she said, I have a dog. And it's just such a pleasant experience. Anyhow, getting back to these pictures once again, the people, several said, yeah, save the ones that you and your wife are in or relatives, but a lot of the scenery, and especially if you have pictures of people that they won't even know, get rid of those because no one else in your family will be interested.
Well, and I love Sandra's idea of contacting a library or museum that could have a connection to those pictures and that they save them for historical purposes. That because it's hard to throw away a box of photographs. It really is.
The museum wanted way more than the photos. They wanted letters, they wanted school papers, they wanted cards that went back and forth. They really wanted a historical document of that person. So it wasn't just the photos. It was
okay.
Don't make the same mistake we did. We had all the letters from my mom and dad when my mom lived in Turkey and my dad was here in Michigan. And there were stacks of it, and there's a lot of historical stuff in there. We did find a museum to donate them to, but because we wanted to downsize, but we made the mistake. About 3 of the 6 of us said, okay, we'll donate them, but we want photocopies of each one in addition to getting them. So instead of having 1 set, now we have 4 sets. That was not downsizing.
By the way, the other thing we did, we took my father-in-law's complete collection of LPs, 45s, 8-track tapes, massive boxes and boxes and boxes. And we donated them to, in downtown Manhattan, a music library.
Nice. That's great. Well, you know what, everybody? It's 7 o'clock. Well, yes, no, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah. And so I'm going to stop recording. If anybody wants to stay on, that's fine. I love to hear the memories that have come along with all these, looking through all the photographs and everything. So again, Stan and Sandra, thank you so much for not only the little short video, but then doing the extra pictures and all and extra detail. That was very helpful. Very much appreciated.
I have a travel joke if anybody wants to listen to it.
Okay.
Are you ready? It's a little bit of a long one, but I got a good chuckle out of it today, and I couldn't believe it was actually so perfect for us. A woman was at her hairdresser getting her hair styled for a trip to Rome. She mentioned the trip to the hairdresser, who responded, "Rome? Why would anyone want to go there? It's crowded, it's dirty, you're crazy to go to Rome. So how are you going to get there?" "We're taking Continental," was the reply. "We got a great rate." "Continental?" exclaimed the hairdresser. "It's a terrible airline. The planes are old, the flight attendants are ugly, and they're always late. Where are you staying in Rome?" "We'll be at this exclusive little place over in Rome's Tiber River called Teste." "Don't go any further. I know the place. Everyone thinks it's going to be something special, exclusive. It's really a dump. We're going to see the Vatican and maybe go see the Pope." "Oh, that's rich," laughed the hairdresser. "You and a million other people trying to see him. He'll look like the size of an ant. Boy, good luck on that Lazoo trip of yours. You're going to need it." A month later, the woman again came in for a hairdo. The hairdresser asked her about her trip to Rome. "It was wonderful," explained the woman. "Not only were we on time on one of Continental's brand new planes, but it was booked, so they had to bump us up to first class. The food and wine were wonderful. The service was excellent. The hotel was great. They had finished a $5 million remodel. Now it's a jewel, the finest hotel. They too were overbooked. They apologized, gave us the owner's suite at no extra charge." "Well," muttered the hairdresser, "that's all well and good, but I know you didn't get to see the Pope." "Well, actually, we were quite lucky, because as we toured the Vatican, a Swiss guard tapped me on the shoulder and explained that the Pope likes to meet some of the visitors, and if I'd be so kind as to step into his private room and wait, the Pope would personally greet me." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, the Pope walked through the door, shook my hand, I knelt down, and he spoke a few words to me. "Oh, really? What did he say?" "He said, 'Who gave you that crappy hairdo?'"
Okay.
Good one. Sandra, thank you. That's a perfect ending to our little session today.
Thanks for all the information.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much. See you next week.